It's time for America Outdoors Radio. The fast-paced hour of outdoors radio ahead is not only awesome, but unlike those other shows, you can actually sleep in for this one. Better still, we've got a special Pacific Northwest edition for you, sponsored by Northwest Sportsman Magazine, Rugged Point Lodge on Vancouver Island, and Northwest Fishing Guides out of our hometown here in Everett. You won't find this version of America Outdoors Radio anywhere else. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. Brought to you by Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
We've got a great Pacific Northwest edition for you this week. We'll be talking to Jennifer Stahl with Northwest Fishing Guides. Turns out they've got some last-minute openings for that Buoy 10 salmon fishery, and that salmon fishery, by the way, is heating up. It's turning into a pretty good fishery this summer. Bruce Warren with Fishing for Fun Guide Service is going to tell you about the Max Smile Blade and how to use it to draw more salmon strikes this summer and fall. We'll also talk to Bob Roberts. He is with Handle-Right Tools, and he's going to tell you about a pair of pliers you've never seen before. But once you do, you'll know you've just got to have it, especially if you're an angler like Bob is. As a matter of fact, Bob is a fishing guide out of Pendleton, Oregon. But before we go any further, let's get into what's hot. And what's hot is not the salmon or tuna fishing off the Washington coast, which has slowed way down this past week. So I checked to see what was going on in the North Sound, called Holiday Sports in Burlington, where Stuart there told me Chinook salmon fishing has been fair around the San Juan Islands. Try looking for the salmon near Reef Point and by the Indian Village at Guaymas Island. Eagle Point was good last week, but slowed down over the weekend. On the other hand, crabbing is outstanding everywhere in the North Sound right now, and the size of the crab has been impressive too. On the freshwater side of things, Stuart got a report that Clear Lake is giving up bass to include some nice ones up to 8 pounds. The ticket for one angler, fishing topwater lures at night. If you want to grab some topwater lures or some crabbing gear or some salmon gear, check out Holiday Sports in Burlington on U.S. Highway 20 right off of Interstate 5. Exploring further into our inland coastal waters, they are not exactly knocking the salmon dead out of CQ, but according to the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife creel checks, they are catching a good number of black sea bass. Likewise, off of Alki Point, the salmon fishing is also slow, but they are at least pulling in sand dabs and flounder. And once again, it's time to check in with the folks from Northwest Fishing Guides. It's Jim and Jennifer Stahl. They hail from Everett, Washington, but they are fishing the mouth of the Columbia River, the famous Buoy 10 salmon fishery. Jennifer, welcome back to the show.
Oh, always great to be back.
Jennifer, I understand you've actually got a few last-minute openings. Was very surprised to see that.
So were we, actually.
I'm assuming these are cancellations because you were full up before the season started.
Correct. Unfortunately, life happens for most people, and in this case, they were not able to make their fishing trip.
So, what are the days that you have open?
We have Tuesday, the 30th, Wednesday, the 31st, and then we also have Friday, September 2nd.
And I understand you're only charging $200 a person, which is really quite the bargain.
Correct. It's $200 a person, and we provide everything. All the gear, the bait, you don't worry about any of that. You just bring yourself, what you want to eat, and your fishing license.
Absolutely. Don't forget the fishing license. So, if you want to find out about booking one of these last-minute trips, because they are rare, it's really rare that you can get a trip to Buoy 10 this late in the season, just go to their website. It's nwfishingguides.net. Again, nwfishingguides.net. Book your trip now for the Buoy 10 salmon fishery. Jennifer, thanks as always.
Thank you.
And with that, let's head to this week's national edition of America Outdoors Radio.
Want a trip with some of the most talented anglers on the water? Then book a trip with Northwest Fishing Guides. Salmon, that's right, salmon are their specialty, and you'll get a chance to catch them out of the mighty Columbia River from a comfortable and sturdy 26-foot boat. Northwest Fishing Guides will take you out for steelhead and sturgeon too, and can also accommodate your saltwater fishing desires. So whether you want salmon in the cooler or other fish on the line, book your trip now at nwfishingguides.net. That's nwfishingguides.net. Book your trip with the best.
Some of the best saltwater fishing you'll ever experience is taking place off Vancouver Island this year, and Rugged Point Lodge is where you need to go to catch them. Rugged Point Lodge offers comfortable accommodations, great food, and the chance to catch a limit of salmon, halibut, and lingcod mere minutes away from the dock. Book now at ruggedpointlodge.com. ruggedpointlodge.com, where fishing dreams come true.
It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations. We cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
Summer is winding down. I know, it feels like we just got here, but the fact of the matter is the kids are heading back to school in the next few days, and college football is kicking off in less than 2 weeks, which leads me to this question. Did you get out there and make the most of your summer? I know a lot of folks who did. I've got a bunch of friends who have enjoyed a fantastic summer of kokanee and sockeye fishing, others who have been reeling in some really nice largemouth bass, and still others who have been getting in some serious range time getting ready for hunting season. What about you? Any regrets? This was the 100th anniversary of our national parks. Did you visit any of them? If not, did you at least go on some road trips to some new places? Maybe to Canada or Alaska, where the saltwater salmon fishing was just great this year. Or maybe to Montana, where the rivers were in fine fishing shape for much of the summer and the mountains beckon for hikers and alpine lake anglers. Whatever it was you did, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't gotten away yet, it's not too late. Labor Day is September 5th this year, but we've still got a couple weeks of summer left after that. And the crowds, poof, after Labor Day, they're pretty much gone. So make your plans now for an end of summer getaway, and don't forget to bring your fishing rod, rifle, shotgun, or bow with you, and make it a cast and blast trip to boot. We've got a really fun show for you this weekend. September signals the start of grouse hunting season in much of the nation, and that's why we're talking to Steve Belinda again this week with the North American Grouse Partnership. Our topic this time, how do you cook those birds right? I know I'm curious to know the answer to this question because I've had pretty mixed results with grouse, especially when it comes to spruce grouse on the grill. We're going to hit the water too. Brandon Frederick with U.S. Marine has got some great advice about buying your first real freshwater fishing boat. We're not talking about car toppers here. We're not talking about canoes or kayaks. We're talking about those 16 to 20 foot boats you'll be cruising around lakes and rivers on to catch walleye, bass, salmon, trout, kokanee, and more. One brand of boat you might want to consider buying is Hughes Craft. They're manufactured in Colville, a little town in northeastern Washington. Clint Carey with Hughes Craft Marine is going to join us, and he's going to tell you a really interesting story about how this little family-run business has become a big name in the aluminum fishing boat industry. Not only that, but Clint's going to tell you about their new Ocean Pro fishing boat, the same boat that will be given to one lucky angler participating in the Northwest Marine Trade Association's Northwest Salmon Derby Series this summer. If you're going to be fishing in a boat, you'll need some good rods and reels. Bonnie Dami with Tika USA will join us to tell you about some of the new gear they have for you this year, to include kokanee and salmon rods and a revolutionary line counter. And we're off to the gun show too. Well, actually, it's more like the Northwest version of SHOT Show, a trade show of sorts for the shooting sports. The event is the Northwest Shooting Expo. It's taking place next week, the 27th and 28th, at the Convention Center in Tacoma, Washington, and it's your chance to visit with over 70 top-notch exhibitors to include firearms manufacturers, manufacturers of accessories for firearms, and more that will be sharing what's new, and in some cases, selling some products like ammunition to you too. John Huang, the CEO of Rainier Arms, is going to tell you more about what promises to be a really exciting event for the shooting sports enthusiast. Want more? Well, we've got outdoors news, including news about some questionable decision-making from a couple of fish and wildlife agencies and commissions along the West Coast. But before we go any further, it's time to talk a little bit of bird hunting. Next on America Outdoors Radio, it's time to check in with Steve Belinda again with the North American Grouse Partnership. This is part of our series on grouse hunting because grouse season is opening up just about everywhere on September 1st. Steve, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thank you, John. It's great to be back, and it's getting closer to that September 1st opener, so I'm getting excited.
Oh, you and me both. So the first time we talked about basically tips for grouse success, where to find the birds and when to hunt them. This time, though, I want to talk about preparing and eating grouse, because I've had some good grouse, like ruffed grouse, blue grouse in particular, and I've had some grouse that, I'll be honest, were pretty much, well, at least the way I cooked them, I could barely eat them, and spruce grouse comes to mind on that one.
Yeah. Well, sage grouse for me has been that species that no matter how it's cooked, I haven't been able to get it right.
So let's go ahead and talk about, let's say you've got a ruffed grouse, let's say you've got a blue grouse or two, and you've just brought them back to camp. Any tips, number one, on preparation before we get them in the frying pan that's going to help them taste better?
Well, first off, I wouldn't pass up the opportunity to put a grouse over a spit while you're out hunting. I do that regularly.
Nice.
So open roasted grouse while I'm, right there with, freshly killed grouse. And I'll tell you what, it's hunkering back to the caveman days for us, but man, that is such an awesome treat for a midday lunch while you're grouse hunting.
I'm thinking paleo diet here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep going.
So when I bring grouse back to camp, I personally don't gut my grouse. What I do is I breast out the grouse and then I take the legs off.
Okay.
For the breast, my favorite is a blue grouse that's lightly breaded and basically made like a chicken cutlet, and then cook that in some oil, high heat oil, a minute or two on each side, and then use a dipping sauce. My personal is ranch and a hot sauce mixed together, and that you can't beat that. To me, that is, that would be my last meal.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, another thing you can do is you can put them in milk or a brine of salt and water or salt and sugar and water, and what that does is it's going to draw some of the moisture to prepare the meat and make it more tenderizer. I don't think you really need that for ruffs and blues, but for spruce grouse and maybe sage grouse, that's something that may take that wild edge off of it a little bit more. And then another way I like to do it is I'll do foil packets.
Oh.
And almost like I would do a trout or another piece of fish, I'll put it into the foil packet, season it up with some olive oil, some butter, some garlic, and then put it over some coals and do it slow so that you really allow that flavor to infuse with your spices and cook it slow, and oftentimes you'll get a tender. Plus, that's probably more healthy than frying something in oil. For the legs, I bring them home and I smoke them.
Oh.
And I'll tell you what, in the middle of the off season when you can pull some smoked grouse legs out of the freezer and pick on those, there's nothing more. Actually, I have some on my desk right now that I pulled out over the weekend. That's great, but really legs are like every else. If you braise them and do them real slow on a open fire in a skillet, you want that to cook slow because that's going to help break down that sinew and the other tendons that are in the leg muscles. But any way you do it, it's good. And the final thing I'll say is figure out a good sauce. Either to marinate it in or to dip it. That always adds it flavor. And then, finally, don't overcook grouse. Prairie grouse in particular, sharp tails, I didn't know were good food until I actually had them prepared the right way. And if they're not pink and juicy in the middle, you're probably overcooking them. And when you overcook any meat like this, it's going to turn into something different. So that would be my advice for cooking this stuff. But, either way, you can't go wrong with grouse. It's another white meat. I personally would rather have grouse in the freezer than chicken, and that's what we try to do every year in my family.
All right. Well, there you go. That was probably the best advice I've ever gotten on cooking grouse in my life, and hopefully it was good advice for you as well. If you want to find out more about the North American Grouse Partnership, go to their website. It's grousepartners.org. Again, grousepartners.org. Check it out and find out what this group is doing to advocate for grouse and help them with habitat and conservation. Steve, thanks again for educating all of our listeners on America Outdoors Radio.
And thank you, John. It's been a pleasure, and everyone have a safe hunting season and grouse on.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, a nationwide group working to keep public lands in public hands so future generations can enjoy what we enjoy. Join the group that makes a difference. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
Tom and Jerry's Boat Center in Mount Vernon is Washington's largest Hughes Craft and Kingfisher aluminum boat dealer. As a leader in sales, service, and fun on the water, Tom and Jerry's only purpose is to make sure you end up with the right boat for your family's needs at a price that will make you smile. Whether it's a new Hughes Craft or Kingfisher or a new Yamaha or Honda outboard, Tom and Jerry's can take care of all your needs. Check us out at tomandjerrys.net, and we'll see you on the water.
Tika USA manufactures quality rods and reels for every fisherman casting for everything, including trout, tuna, sturgeon, halibut, salmon, and more. We have it all to include kokanee and sockeye rods, salmon steelhead HLF graphite handle grips for bottom bouncing, and the smallest line counter on the market, the KL150LC. Whether you use a fly reel or spinning reel for your fish, we've got the reels and rods you'll want to have. Go to TICAAmerica.com. Tika USA, born to perform.
Offshore Northwest is Washington's most exciting albacore tuna fishing charter, offering one-day run-and-gun live bait tuna fishing trips from Westport, Washington. You'll leave at first light, run an hour and a half out to the tuna grounds, and catch these fish till your arms fall off. You'll be back at port by 5 p.m. on a 30-foot Parker boat. The tuna are here now, and this is shaping up to be a record summer, so call Captain Carey now at 253-380-9973. That's 253-380-9973 for Offshore Northwest.
Clippership RV Motorhome Rentals offers you the opportunity to explore Alaska in the comfort of a motorhome. Unpack once and make your own trip off the beaten path. Clippership offers different sizes from 19 to 36-foot long motorhomes in Class A, B, and C models. Don't worry about bringing along extras with you. The utensils, linens, and unlimited mileage are all included in the price, and we guarantee you the best rates in Alaska. Find out more at ClippershipRV.com. That's ClippershipRV.com.
Some of the best saltwater fishing you'll ever experience is taking place off Vancouver Island this year, and Rugged Point Lodge is where you need to go to catch them. Rugged Point Lodge offers comfortable accommodations, great food, and the chance to catch a limit of salmon, halibut, or lingcod mere minutes away from the dock. Better still, it's not too late to book a trip for this summer to take advantage of what promises to be the best salmon fishing in a generation. Book now at RuggedPointLodge.com. RuggedPointLodge.com, where fishing dreams come true.
Hughes Craft is the Pacific Northwest best-selling boat. It's a family fishing boat that has been providing the most safety, fishability, and the best value to Northwest boaters since 1948. Hughes Craft's welded aluminum boats are built for serious fishermen with plenty of room for fighting fish, not the rest of the crew. Our state-of-the-art design allows for pure fishing functionality and the durability to last season after season, year after year, and decade after decade. To find the Hughes Craft dealer nearest you, visit HughesCraft.com. U.S. Marine Sales is the South Sound's largest marine retail store with an 8,000 square foot showroom. We've been locally owned and operated since 1978 and have a full service department with factory trained staff. We offer sales and service for Yamaha and Mercury outboards and sell Weldcraft, Lund, G3, and other boats for anglers. Want to have some fun on the water? We sell Yamaha wave runners too. Check out our website at usmarinesales.com and then visit us on Pacific Avenue in Olympia. The website again, usmarinesales.com.
Want a trip with some of the most talented anglers on the water? Then book a trip with Northwest Fishing Guides. Salmon, that's right, salmon are their specialty, and you'll get a chance to catch them out of the mighty Columbia River from a comfortable and sturdy 26-foot boat. Northwest Fishing Guides will take you out for steelhead and sturgeon too, and can also accommodate your saltwater fishing desires. So whether you want salmon in the cooler or other fish on the line, book your trip now at nwfishingguides.net. That's nwfishingguides.net. Book your trip with the best.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. This portion of the show is brought to you by the American Shooting Journal. It's a publication that covers not only firearms and the firearms industry, but all sorts of other topics too. If you are a firearms owner, then you have got to get a copy of the American Shooting Journal. Look for it at a newsstand near you. Speaking of shooting, we've got a big event coming up in Tacoma. It's going to happen on August 27th and August 28th at the Tacoma Convention Center. It's the Northwest Shooting Sports Expo. With us here to tell us more about it is John Huang, the CEO of Rainier Arms. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, John. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I was looking at the exhibitor list, and it almost looks like a mini SHOT Show is coming to Tacoma. What is this Northwest Shooting Sports Expo all about?
It has kind of gotten a lot bigger than we expected. We started this kind of the summer event at the Rainier Arms parking lot a few years back. When we had our grand opening, we invited a couple of our vendors, like 5 or 6, and then the year after that, we did the same thing. We had a huge turnout, and people kept on saying, man, it would be so awesome to have a SHOT Show here in the Northwest. As you know, in the Northwest, we don't have any kind of trade show for our industry, and it's a shame. The only thing we do have, obviously, the WAC show here in Puyallup, and I think there's a show up in Monroe, some shows like that where people are actually buying and selling guns, but no trade show, no industry trade show. And it was something that I really wanted to do for the Northwest, something that I thought, wow, our shooting community here in the Northwest would certainly love an opportunity to meet the manufacturers and see some of the products firsthand. And so the idea started out with, hey, let's rent a small part of the convention center. And we started out, I believe, with like 10,000 square feet, and they said, hey, let's try to fit 20 or 30 vendors, see what happens. And as soon as we got that word out, vendors from all over the place wanted to participate. And the nice thing is, because of who we are in the industry, Rainier Arms, because we are a distributor of so many brands, we have great relationships with many of the manufacturers. And so when we reached out to them, they wanted to support the Northwest. They wanted to support our customer base.
As a matter of fact, you've got, over 60 exhibitors that are going to be there at the Shooting Sports Expo now?
Yeah, I think it's over 70 now. It's growing all the time. I know we're super stoked about it. And, and some of the names are big names. And so we're very honored, and we're thankful, and we're really excited about, if this is our first year, I can't even imagine what next year is going to look like. But, let's get over this year first, right? So we're excited about that.
You're listening to America Outdoors Radio. We're talking to John Huang. He's the CEO of Rainier Arms about the Northwest Shooting Sports Expo that's taking place August 27th and the 28th at the Tacoma Convention Center. So we've been making comparisons to SHOT Show in Las Vegas, which is the largest trade show for the firearms industry. And that trade show is not open to the public. You've got to be in the industry, so to speak. This trade show, I understand anybody who's a firearms enthusiast can attend. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. We're actually, if you want to do a direct comparison, it's more like the NRA show, where it's open to the direct consumers. But unlike the NRA show, there isn't a membership or anything like that, anything you have to pay for. If you're an enthusiast in the firearms industry, come and check out the various manufacturers that's going to be there. And
you can't beat the price. I understand it's absolutely free to attend. Is that right?
Yeah, it's $0.99. Basically, it's free. So it's awesome. We're gonna, obviously we can't have it free forever, or maybe we can. I don't know. This year, we're, as a way of giving back, we wanted to make it very attractive to our vendors. Number one, to fly out. I mean, a lot of our vendors are coming from all over the country, so they're flying out. So we didn't want to charge, huge booth fees or anything like that, so we kept their fees extremely low, and we made it free to the public. So the first year, Rainier Arms is picking up a big chunk of this tab, but we want to do something special for our industry because the industry has been so good to us. And we believe that we want to represent, like the Northwest, and say, God, we have so many successful businesses here and so many successful people here. We want to represent our area well to the industry as well. So it's kind of a twofold thing. I want to show off the industry to the Northwest, and I also want to show off the Northwest to the industry.
So there's two reasons that folks are going to want to attend. Number one, like you said, to actually meet the manufacturers and see what's new. I know a lot of these manufacturers, every year they've developed something new, and this will be an opportunity for firearms enthusiasts and others interested in the shooting sports to go ahead and see exactly what's coming out from companies that not only make firearms like yours, but companies like Leupold that make optics and some of the accessories that go on these firearms.
That's right.
So here's another question for you, though. Can you buy anything at the show? Is anything for sale?
Yeah, there actually will be. the vast majority of the manufacturers will probably not bring product, but we made it open where they can bring product if they want, and they can sell at the show if they want. One of the things that many of the vendors are doing, though, is they are allowing us, they're working directly with Rainier, and we're doing special coupon codes and things like that. So during the show, during that weekend, they'll be able to get special prices, 10 to 15, 20% off on a lot of these products. So some of the vendors, they thought, hey, we're not going to be able to ship a pallet of this stuff in and ship a pallet of this stuff back of whatever doesn't sell. And so they thought, hey, why don't you sell it, and we'll give them a discount. And we said, sure, we'll work with them on that. There's some companies like, for example, Freedom Munitions. I think they just recently said they're coming. They're not on our vendor list, but they're coming, and they're bringing a whole bunch of ammo.
Nice.
And so, if you want ammo, there's going to be a great place to buy it as well. So, yes, there are companies that's going to be bringing product. Some companies will work directly with Rainier and using the special coupon codes for that week so you can get a discount. And the vast majority of people will be displaying a lot of new stuff that they're preparing for SHOT Show.
One other thing I want to talk about here, you've got a VIP event that's taking place, and this one does cost a little money. It's $100 plus if you go online, another $6 or so for handling fees. Tell me about this VIP event. What's it all about? What's going to happen there?
Yeah, the VIP experience is going to be amazing. It's one way, it's one opportunity for you to meet many of the vendors and the CEOs, and more on a relaxed atmosphere. We are partnering with the Darby Project. I'm not sure if many of the listeners are familiar with them, but Darby Project, they work with the Rangers and getting them back on their feet as they are leaving the military and back into civilian place. And not only with that, but not only with the transition, but many different things regarding the Rangers. So we're able to donate, basically raise a lot of this money. We have lots of giveaways, too. Like, I believe it was Gemtech that's given away a couple of silencers even, and we've got lots of fun things planned for the VIP event. One of the events that we're really excited about is a dodgeball tournament. Another one's going to be it's going to be airsoft with, basically we're going to call it the Joes versus the pros. Basically the pros of airsoft, and we're going to get a couple of the special forces teams put together. So real operators versus airsoft guys, and winners will get some prizes there. We're going to have live music. We're going to have, obviously, alcohol that's there. We're not going to charge separately for any of that stuff. We're going to have food there. So the $100 will go towards the charity, the Darby Project. And so we're really excited about all the money that's being raised for that charity event.
This sounds absolutely fantastic. Again, the location is the Tacoma Convention Center. This sounds like it's going to be an absolute hoot. If you are a firearms enthusiast, you don't want to miss this. The website is nwshootingsportsexpo.com. Again, it's the Northwest Shooting Sports Expo taking place August 27th and 28th at the Tacoma Convention Center. Don't miss it. John, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Thanks for your time, John.
Do you long to hunt Africa's most dangerous big game? Big Game Hunting Adventures offers that. Hunting free-range Cape buffalo in some of the wildest untamed country left on the continent. You'll be the only hunting party tracking free-range buffalo on 160,000 acres of land where the borders of Mozambique, South Africa, and Zimbabwe meet. They include pickup at Johannesburg International Airport, and they're among the most affordable you'll find in all of Africa. Book your safari today at BigGameHuntingAdventures.com.
Service is always cheaper than repair. That's a truism from Ken Estes at Cascade Marine Center in Portland, Oregon. Go ahead and drop by and see Cascade Marine for all of the parts, accessories, and honest advice you need to keep your boat and motor running. No one wants to be the guy plugging the boat ramp up because his boat doesn't start. So head down to Cascade Marine Center in Portland or give them a call or check out their website at CascadeMarineCenter.com.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
It's time for another Max Minute, brought to you every week by Max Lure Company. With us this week is Max Pro Guide Bruce Warren, owner of Fishing for Fun Guide Service. Bruce, always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks, John.
Bruce, you have been doing fishing for salmon this week, and I've noticed that in just about all the fishing you do, you like to use smile blades as part of the presentation. Go ahead and tell our listeners more about this.
Absolutely, John. What a smile blade is a simple little gadget that is cut out of a mylar material. It works really well to add some flash, add some color, add some sonic vibration, add a little bit of something special to any lure that you want to present. Works on plugs, works on spoons, works on bait, works on just about anything that I do. All you have to do is get a couple of small beads on there to act as a bearing, throw on your favorite color of smile blade. I've been using a real hot red, a pink, or even a blue up here, and just let them spin. And they spin in absolutely no current. Quarter mile or less, you'll have a Max smile blade spinning.
So when we're talking in front of a lure, what kind of lure do you like to use this time of year for kings and silvers, and what kind of smile blades are you putting on front of it?
Well, we're doing a lot of quick fish, which is the banana plug, either a quick fish, a flat fish, something of that nature, or a Brad's Super Bait or the Super Cut plug. Again, put that on there and get your favorite colors out there. It really doesn't matter because you're loading them up with your favorite meat to scent them up. But again, add a Max smile blade to that, put a couple of beads on your top hook so that it gets in front of the super bait. Put your favorite blade color on there, and what I'll do is I will contrast it. If I want to do a pink super bait, I'm going to go with a blue or a chrome or something to add a little contrasting color, because if you don't add the contrast, the fish see just one color or one shade of color. So you add a little contrast to it, it gives them something to look at different and breaks them up.
There you go, folks. Go ahead and supercharge your offering for salmon this fall with a smile blade from Max Lure Company. And if you want to find out more about fishing with Bruce Warren, go to his website. It's fishingforfunguideservice.com. That's fishingforfunguideservice.com. Bruce knows his stuff. Would love to take you fishing.
There's a whole bunch more of the great outdoors coming your way on Fox Sports 1380.
Some of the best saltwater fishing you'll ever experience is taking place off Vancouver Island this year, and Rugged Point Lodge is where you need to go to catch them. Rugged Point Lodge offers comfortable accommodations, great food, and the chance to catch a limit of salmon, halibut, or lingcod mere minutes away from the dock. Better still, it's not too late to book a trip for this summer to take advantage of what promises to be the best salmon fishing in a generation. Book now at ruggedpointlodge.com. ruggedpointlodge.com, where fishing dreams come true.
Welcome back to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. This portion of the show is brought to you by Northwest Sportsman Magazine. It's the monthly publication covering the hunting and fishing scene throughout the greater Northwest. Pick up a copy at a newsstand near you. We are going to tell you a story today. It's a story about a family-owned business in Washington State, Eastern Washington no less, and it's grown in a big, big way. The name of the company is Hughescraft Marine. With us here to tell us more about it, Clint Carey. Clint, welcome to the show.
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm doing well. You know, Hughescraft, it's, well, still in Colville, Washington. Is that where it all started back in the 1940s?
That is, in fact, 1948. Ralph and Bob Hughes returned from their service in World War II as guys who knew how to work aluminum, and they were pilots as well during World War II. They came back with an intent to start a flying service training company. So they would have GIs returning from World War II come to their flying service, use their GI Bill, and get flight training.
That's not what happened.
Yeah, that's not what ended up happening. You're right. So after a while, when that dried up, and they realized that there were folks in the community who, of course, here in Colville want to hunt and fish, they realized as guys who knew how to work aluminum that they could build some fishing boats. So they built one for a few friends, and the friends all committed to help with the building of those boats. Of course, as the boats got built, each friend who received that boat disappeared from the group who was going to help build the boats.
It's funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah. So pretty soon what was left were Ralph and Bob and a realization that they could build some pretty good boats. So that was 1948. In the late 80s, after nearly 40 years of business, they began building not riveted aluminum boats, but all welded aluminum boats.
Interesting.
And since then, our product has grown in popularity in Alaska, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Montana to become the number one selling boat in the Pacific Northwest. For a few years, we were the number one selling all-welded aluminum fishing boat, but as that kind of boat got more popular, our brand became the number one selling boat of all boats combined, including fiberglass, pontoons, etc.
Amazing. And are all of these boats manufactured in Little Colville, Washington?
They are. The factory is located in a different location than the first, I guess, the start of the company. It started out in a building near the airport. It moved at one point to a small building that had once been a bowling alley, and now the factory is a standalone manufacturing facility that produces more than 800 boats a year.
Wow, that is a great story. Now, something else I want to talk about is you've got a new boat out. Now, you make freshwater boats, saltwater boats, both, I guess what you would call for bays and for the open ocean, but you've got something out, 22-footer, called the Ocean Pro. Tell our listeners about that.
Yeah, John, that is or has been traditionally, our most popular ocean-going hull. 22 feet long, plus an extended transom where the engine hangs that allows for a fully enclosed gunnel deck aft of the steering station. That boat kind of got caught and passed in popularity by our own Sea Runner recently, which is a smaller boat.
Interesting.
That was our oldest model, and it needed some freshening. So we rebuilt the hull, redesigned it, and it became our number one seller because of all the new features that we added. Well, we realized that happened because we didn't add all of those features yet to the Ocean Pro. So we rebuilt the Ocean Pro, moved the console forward, gave it some more fishing room, gave it a lot better drainability. The safety has increased, and the space for fishing has gone up. So that boat is now a monster compared to a lot of other boats in its class.
Folks, if you want to find out more about the Ocean Pro and all the other boats that Hughes Craft Marine manufactures, go to their website. It's hughescraft.com. Hughes spelled H-E-W-E-S, craft.com. You'll also find dealer locators there as well. There's dealers all over the United States that carry the Hughes Craft line, and for good reason. They make great boats in Colville, Washington. Clint, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
John, it's been a pleasure. Have a great one.
So now you know the Hughes Craft story. Let's go ahead and transition to something else. Hughes Craft makes some great boats, but there's a lot of other good boat manufacturers out there. Three that come to mind are Weldcraft, there's Lund, there's G3. All three of those brands are sold at U.S. Marine Sales out of Olympia. And with us here to help us figure out, for the first-time boat buyer for freshwater lakes and rivers, is Brandon Frederick with U.S. Marine Sales. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
So, Brandon, let's talk this through. For the guy that maybe has had a car topper or canoe and they want to get their first real fishing boat, something between 16 and 20 feet, they walk into the showroom. How are you going to help them get that first boat that's not going to break the budget for them? And I guess we'll start with length. What is the proper size for your first freshwater fishing boat? Are we going to go 16, 18, 20? You tell me.
You got to kind of sit down and kind of think about, too, how many guys you're going to take with you, how much gear you're going to have, that kind of thing, too. Over here in Western Washington, a lot of our lakes are smaller, so, a 16-foot boat would be ideal. It's perfect for a first-time boat buyer. Lund, for example, you can get into a little Lund, full canvas top, nice little 4-stroke 40-horse outboard and galvanized trailer for just under $20,000, so very reasonable. There again, Eastern Washington, to get bigger lakes, something like that, 16-foot boat would be perfect. Obviously, if you got a few more guys with you, ideally you want to go a little bit bigger, get a little bit more room, a little bit more stable, that kind of thing.
Okay, so if it's just a me and Joe boat where it's going to be me and my fishing buddy, 16 is probably going to be good, but if I'm taking the family, if I'm taking 3 or 4 people, that's when I want to start looking for a bigger boat. The canvas top, obviously, especially here in the greater Northwest, is something you're going to want to have. But let's talk about motors. What's the right horsepower for that main motor, and do you recommend jet drive or an outboard?
Well, I definitely recommend the outboard on any of these guys, especially if we talk about lakes. So I'd stick to a prop. No need to go to a jet on these things. I mean, it's just going to rob you a little bit of horsepower unless you're going to get into those skinny rivers, which we can talk about later. But the lakes themselves, they're again with a 16-foot boat, you and your buddy, 40 horse would be all right. I'd probably try to talk you into something a little bit bigger because it's easier to not use horsepower than it is to generate it after you're out there on the lake. So, get into that 60 horse, 70 horse range would be a little bit more ideal.
All right, that makes a lot of sense. And the other motor you need is that kicker motor. So are we talking about your 9.9 horse there?
Correct, yeah. It's whether you go with, for example, I carry the Mercuries and the Yamahas. They're Pro Kickers or Yamaha's High Thrust, which is probably our best seller. Hands down, one of the best motors out there, in my opinion. I mean, just with the electric start, the power tilt, the reliability, these things is just amazing.
And I guess that goes to something else. For people who are considering buying a used boat and used motor versus a new boat, the new four-stroke motors, they're really almost maintenance-free. I mean, you don't have to do nearly as much as you did with the old two-strokes.
Correct. Yeah, it's just a matter of, and a lot of people have a hard time believing me, but it's once a year essentially. For the recreational boater out there, the recreational fisherman, you bring it in here in the fall when you're done, unless you want to fish year round. Change the oil, change the gear lube. We just kind of keep you out there on the water and get you going. I mean, and that's it. Put gas in it and use it. That's all you got to do.
All right. In terms of some of the amenities, fish box versus live well depends on what kind of fishing you're going to be doing, obviously. What else do you recommend people have on their boat?
Obviously, we always sell a lot of the GPSs, the fish finders, that kind of thing, the depth finders. Some handful of guys like their VHF radios, that kind of thing, AM, FM stereos. For the most part, you just get that fish box in there. You get there again. We talked about the canvas top, the full cover, GPS, and kind of send them out the door and let them figure out what they need. Some guys will come in. They know what they need. They want their rod holders and downriggers and all that good kind of stuff. But a lot of guys like to just get out on the water and just kind of figure out what it is they're actually going to be doing with the boat mainly. That way they can outfit their boat correctly and then come back and we can get them all rigged up.
Brandon, you got some great advice there. Let's tell people where you're located in Olympia and give out your website too.
Absolutely. We're located in Olympia right off exit 107 off I-5. That's Pacific Ave. Our address is 3525 Pacific Ave here in Olympia, Washington. And our website's real easy, usmarinesales.com. Have anything on there from, our new boats, used boats, same with our outboards, trailers, full service.
Well, there you go. The website again is usmarinesales.com, or just drop on by at US Marine Sales on Pacific Avenue Southeast in Olympia and check in with Brandon. He will square you away for your very first freshwater fishing boat. Brandon, thanks for sharing this on America Outdoors Radio.
No worries. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Planning to head outdoors today? The National Shooting Sports Foundation reminds you to check the fire danger levels in your area. Whether target shooting, camping, or even parking a car with a hot exhaust, remember to take precautions. As we know, wildfires have many possible causes. Don't be one of them.
U.S. Marine Sales is the South Sound's largest marine retail store with an 8,000 square foot showroom. We've been locally owned and operated since 1978 and have a full service department with factory trained staff. We offer sales and service for Yamaha and Mercury outboards and sell Weldcraft, Lund, G3 and other boats for anglers. Want to have some fun on the water? We sell Yamaha wave runners too. Check out our website at usmarinesales.com and then visit us on Pacific Avenue in Olympia. The website again, usmarinesales.com.
Everyone knows Kodiak Island is one of the best places in Alaska to go fishing. You can pay a lot of money to go with a guide or stay at a lodge, or you can do it yourself. There are over 100 miles of roadway on Kodiak Island leading to streams and lakes full of trout, salmon, and char. How to get there? With Budget of Kodiak. Located at the airport, we offer daily and weekly car rentals, as well as discounts for military and AARP members. Contact Budget of Kodiak and explore.
Tika USA manufactures quality rods and reels for every fisherman casting for everything, including trout, tuna, sturgeon, halibut, salmon, and more. We have it all to include kokanee and sockeye rods, salmon steelhead HLF graphite handle grips for bottom bouncing, and the smallest line counter on the market, the KL150LC. Whether you use a fly reel or spinning reel for your fish, we've got the reels and rods you'll want to have. Go to TICAAmerica.com. Tika USA, born to perform.
Limit Out Performance Marine is your West Coast Phoenix, Larson, and Alumacraft boat dealer. We also offer full service for your Mercury and Yamaha outboard and have complete parts and tackle store for your every boating need. We'll not only provide you with full service for your boat, motor, and trailer, but we'll also educate you on how to better operate and maintain your boat so you can have a better experience in the water. Visit us at 421 5th Avenue Northwest in Pacific or go online to limitoutmarine.com.
Tom and Jerry's Boat Center in Mount Vernon is Washington's largest Hughes Craft and Kingfisher aluminum boat dealer. As a leader in sales, service, and fun on the water, Tom and Jerry's only purpose is to make sure you end up with the right boat for your family's needs at a price that will make you smile. Whether it's a new Hughes Craft or Kingfisher or a new Yamaha or Honda outboard, Tom and Jerry's can take care of all your needs. Check us out at tomandjerrys.net, and we'll see you on the water.
Hughes Craft is the Pacific Northwest best-selling boat. It's a family fishing boat that has been providing the most safety, fishability, and the best value to Northwest boaters since 1948. Hughes Craft's welded aluminum boats are built for serious fishermen with plenty of room for fighting fish, not the rest of the crew. Our state-of-the-art design allows for pure fishing functionality and the durability to last season after season, year after year, and decade after decade. To find the Hughes Craft dealer nearest you, visit hughescraft.com. Welcome back to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. It's time for some outdoors news, and this portion of the show is brought to you by California Sportsman Magazine. It's the monthly publication covering hunting and fishing throughout the great state of California. Go ahead and pick up a copy at a newsstand near you. We start off with some good news from AmmoLand Shooting Sports, where we learn our USA shooting team brought home some well-earned bling from the Olympics in Rio. Ginny Thrasher won the very first gold medal awarded in the Summer Olympics for her first-place finish in the 10-meter air rifle competition. Corey Cogdell Unrein took home her second bronze medal for her performance in women's trap, and a very classy and down-to-earth woman named Kim Rhodes got to meet her at SHOT Show a couple years ago. She took home her sixth career Olympic medal, winning a bronze medal in women's skeet. The boys did okay too, especially in the sport of archery. From the Outdoor Wire, we learned Brady Ellison won a bronze medal at Rio. In that sport, Ellison is the first American to win an Olympic medal in archery in 16 years. To all of our Olympic competitors, especially those in the shooting sports who don't get the attention they should, congratulations. For our next story, we're going to share a question asked in the Outdoor Wire this week. Are California fish hatcheries going broke? 14 bipartisan members of the California Legislature Outdoor Sporting Caucus expressed concern that the state's Hatchery and Inland Fisheries Fund, known as the HIFF program, may be at risk of insolvency by 2018 and called on the California Fish and Game Commission for a detailed analysis of revenues and expenditures. The HIFF is financed by California fishing licenses, which, according to a California Sport Fishing League study, is the most expensive license in the nation. CSL study also concluded that annual fishing licenses have declined over 55% since 1980, which jeopardizes its ability to qualify for federal grants as sales continue to decline. Meanwhile, back to the question of insolvency. The Department of Fish and Wildlife has told the California Fish and Game Commission that it might take almost a year for them to report back to the commission as to whether their hatchery programs are at risk of being insolvent. Marco Mlakotin, with the California Sport Fishing League, responded to that by saying, "It's remarkable that the Department of Fish and Wildlife can't tell state legislatures what anglers' license fees are paying for and whether their hatchery programs are solvent or not. If the state's hatchery programs go broke, it would not only harm recreational fishing, but all the communities that depend on it for jobs and tourism." Speaking of which, according to CSL, recreational fishing contributes over $4.9 billion annually to California's economy, which includes quite a bit of outdoors tourism and jobs. Meanwhile, in Seattle, it's clear that some people are more important than others. And as an angler, you need to know that you are less important than a bunch of folks smoking pot in public. That's the message the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife is sending with their announcement that they closed Pier 86, a popular fishing pier on the Seattle waterfront this weekend, because Hemp Fest is taking place. A report in the Fishing Wire quotes Russell Link, the regional wildlife manager, who says the department has closed Pier 86 from Friday, August 19th until Monday, August 22nd on the recommendation of the event's producer, who expressed concerns about public safety and the possibility of litter blowing into Puget Sound if the pier remained open. The production company, Seattle Events, expects 100,000 people to attend the 3-day Hemp Fest event this year. Link says, after discussing the issue with the producer and our maintenance staff, we agreed that it would be best to close the pier during the event and noted the Port of Seattle had agreed to help monitor the closure. Now, personal opinion here, mind you, the Department of Fish and Wildlife could have negotiated with the event promoter to have security at the pier and, only allow anglers and crabbers onto the pier if they were concerned about the behavior of their own festival goers. Or, barring that, they could have had people that had something called a fishing license, a Discover Pass, or a Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife Access Pass. Those people who have paid to be users could have been allowed on the pier. But no, instead, this state agency is denying anglers and crabbers another opportunity to fish, which is strange because the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife is actively trying to make the case that anglers should be paying more for their licenses next year. And here we are, limiting access and opportunity yet again this year. Frustrating. As a matter of fact, it's darn near trail of shame-worthy frustrating.
Shame on you.
It's time to talk a little fishing on America Outdoors Radio, and we thought we'd go ahead and talk fishing with Bonnie Domme. She is with Tika USA. Now, Tika, as a lot of you may know, manufactures some really, really nice rods and reels. They're actually a company out of Taiwan, and they kind of came into business in the early 1990s. But Tika USA is actually located in Kent, Washington. That's where Bonnie is today. Bonnie, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So Tika, I presume, manufactures their rods and reels overseas in Taiwan. What does Tika USA do here on the West Coast?
We bring in the rods from China to us, and then we basically distribute them throughout the United States, and we're into Canada. Canada is a newer market, but we do have fishing equipment, rods and reels for everybody, every fisherwoman, every fisherman, from trout to tuna to halibut and also to fly.
Well, we're going to talk about some of that for the next few minutes, but I want to start off with something I thought was very clever. So you have a line counter, and there's lots of level line reels out there with line counters. I get that, but yours is a lot smaller than the competition. Why is that?
Basically, our line counters are the smallest on the market at a size 150, which is right-handed. We also have a 151 that is left-handed, but our line counters are more compact because they are inside the body of the reel. They're not on the outside, which makes them smaller and easier to handle.
How about visibility? I haven't seen one of these yet. Are they sometimes when things get smaller, especially for people like me as we get older, they're a little harder to read. Is that an issue?
No, that's not an issue at all because the counter is the same size as the other ones. That's just repositioned inside the reel.
Nice. Whoever thought of this, building the better mousetrap, so to speak, that's very clever, very clever. So in addition to that, you've got some new rods I want to talk about, kokanee rods. And kokanee fishing has just become all the rage, especially along the West Coast and the Northwest over the last few years. Tell me about your new kokanee rods.
Okay, well, they're great for sockeye and kokanee fishing. They're basically, we have sizes from 7 foot to 9 foot 6 inches, and they are also rated for braided line, which makes it nicer since more and more people are going to that.
Yes. So here's a question for you. If I'm a kokanee angler, if I'm a sockeye angler, why would I choose the 9 foot 6 over the 7 foot? What are the different applications I need to worry about here?
Basically, they're just longer, and the 9/6 are a little bit heavier. Not a lot, but some people just like a longer rod.
Sure.
I personally use a shorter one because I feel like I have more control, but a lot of the people like the longer ones to get further out.
And these rods, I presume, are mainly built as trolling rods that you're going to be using with the downrigger primarily?
Not necessarily. You can use it for just regular fishing also.
Okay, good to know. And you've got some new salmon and steelhead rods out.
Right. These are great. They're with new graphite handles that are better fit your hand. They also have X wraps. They are perfect for the bottom fishing and buoy 10 fishing that is just coming up here soon.
So tell me more about these grips. So I understand rods are made of graphite. I guess I'm used to most of my Well, I guess I'm old school because I've actually still got a lot of rods with cork grips. Why do I want graphite grips, and what's an S-wrap?
It's actually an X-wrap, and it's the way that it's wrapped. It means the wrapping is in an X pattern.
So does this provide better comfort, better control, or is it just all aesthetics, just the look?
No, it gives a better handle for it so that you can grip it better, especially when you're out there and your hands get a little cold.
Cold or maybe a little slimy with fish.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least, where can folks find Tikka rods and reels?
Okay, you can go to Fisherman's Warehouse, Pacific Flyway, England Marine. They all have those.
Okay. What about some of the bigger chains? Does Sportsman's Warehouse carry Tikka?
Yes, they do.
All right. And lots of independent retailers out there too, folks. Again, Tikka USA is making some really good stuff, distributing some really good stuff. Give it a try if you haven't already. Is there a website we can send people to?
Yeah, it's TikkaAmerica.com.
All right, so that's Tikka, spelled T-I-C-A, America.com, TikkaAmerica.com, building some really nice rods and reels and with some really nice gadgets like those line counters, too. Bonnie, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
All right, thank you.
We hope you enjoyed our show this week. If you get a chance, go to our website, AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. You'll find information about the show and a podcast of last week's show. Follow us on Facebook, too. Again, just go to America Outdoors Radio, like our page, and follow us there. Another place to find us is on the internet at WRVO Radio. Simply go to RenoViolaOutdoors.com. It's an internet station specializing in outdoors programming 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Both this show and our sister show, Northwestern Outdoors Radio, can be heard there. I hope the good Lord blesses you today and in the week that follows. Like we said at the beginning of the show, summer is fading fast. So if you haven't gotten away for a summer outdoors vacation, you better hurry up and do so. Remember, it's your country and your outdoors.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
Talking to my old friend Bob Roberts. He's the owner of Columbia Basin Guide Service. Turns out he's a bit of an inventor, too. He's got a new company and a new product. It's called Handle-Right Tool Company, and he's going to go ahead and tell you more about the Handle-Right. I'm going to describe it for you. Basically looks like a heavy-duty pair of shears with orange handles, but instead of a cutting instrument at the end where you would normally have the shears, you've got a pair of pliers. What is the reasoning behind this, Bob?
Well, John, the reasoning behind the pliers is after years of fishing with needle nose pliers and getting pinched with the handles, slipping out of your hands, and just being awkward to use. I was fishing last year for walleye, and I happened to throw a pair of pliers down that I was upset with. Well, they landed on a pair of scissors. And when they did, the idea came to me to put loop handles on the pliers. That way, when you're over the side of the boat, you've got a grip on them. They're not slipping. They don't fall in the net. They don't drop in the water. And they're a better mousetrap. That's what they are.
Oh, absolutely. And again, this is a well-built set of nickel-plated pliers. And again, the non-slip handle you're going to love. And again, when you see it, it's brilliant. It's one of those, geez, why haven't pliers always been made this way?
Yeah, I get a lot of people, that the first thing they say is, duh, how easy was that? And it's a one-size, nickel-dipped, 9.5-inch plier. We had to start, when you're on a budget, you got to start somewhere. So we started with this, and the whole idea is to do the 6-inch, to do the big stainless, to do the panfish, the big game. Right now we've got one size fits all, and it is the big game plier, but hopefully by May, June, and into the fall, we'll have 3 or 4 different sizes of pliers.
So, brand new company, I'm guessing the best place to find this product right now, if you're not at a sportsman show that you're exhibiting at, is going to be on your website. What is that website?
The website is HandleRightTools.com.
HandleRightTools.com, HANDLE, right spelled RITE, HandleRightTools.com. Check this out. It's really innovative. You get a pair, you're going to love them, and you probably won't lose them. Bob, thanks for telling us about this on Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John.
Some of the best saltwater fishing you'll ever experience is taking place off Vancouver Island this year, and Rugged Point Lodge is where you need to go to catch them. Rugged Point Lodge offers comfortable accommodations, great food, and the chance to catch a limit of salmon, halibut, and lingcod mere minutes away from the dock. Better still, it's not too late to book a trip for this summer to take advantage of what promises to be the best salmon fishing in a generation. Book now at ruggedpointlodge.com. ruggedpointlodge.com, where fishing dreams come true.